Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel, and unfortunately, I've got some bad news for you. The SEC v. Ripple lawsuit did not end today, Friday, March 31st, 2023, as was widely anticipated by many in the XRP community, and for good reason, by the way. There are predictions, including a very well-known attorney within the XRP community, as well as an expectation put out by Ripple's general counsel. So he's their top in-house legal guy. And they're perfectly reasonable predictions about what might occur. It's not like this was ever going to be a guarantee, but there was a lot of hope, and it has not happened. Now, mind you, I say that, and admittedly, I'm recording, what time is it? 6:09 p.m. Central Standard Time. So technically, assuming that this would have to come down by Eastern time, which is an hour ahead, there's a little bit less than 5 hours for this to come in. So I'm just going to go ahead and guess that the answer is no. And if there's actually a settlement, then I'm just going to take the L on that one. It's, you know what it'll kind of be like? It'll be like in the 2008 U.S. presidential election when Obama ended up beating McCain. The South Park creators, they put out an episode where Obama beat McCain, and it came out, I don't know, it was either the night it happened or the day after. It was almost immediately. And that's because they just assumed that that Obama would beat McCain, which is ultimately what happened. But had McCain won, then it was just going to be out there. There would have been this alternate universe where in the South Park episode, Obama won when McCain really won, but that's not what happened. So similarly here, should there actually be the lawsuit drop, I'm just going to leave this up, and then I'll quickly put out another video as quickly as I can, given a summary of what occurs. But let's just say the fact that I'm putting out this video right now, hours ahead of the technical deadline, is a vote of no confidence of that scenario actually unfolding. So if it does, I'll take the L, but I'm not anticipating that to be the case. But I do have some perspective from attorney John Deatons, some as recently as probably about 45 minutes or so ago, and some from a little bit this afternoon, in terms of what we should expect moving forward. And is Judge Torres going to be in any sort of hot water for not getting the ruling out by the end of March? But before going any further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And so you can see, here's the headline from the Crypto Basic. It's March 31st. Is Ripple versus SEC lawsuit ruling coming today as predicted? Yeah, I'm thinking absolutely not. But there's good reason for the community to be thinking that perhaps it would have happened today. In fact, here's a headline from the Crypto Basic from September 7th of last year. The headline is, former U.S. prosecutor shares scheduling updates for Ripple v. SEC lawsuit, says lawsuit to end before March 31st, 2023. And the article, I don't need to read it. I was just kind of setting the table to make sure everybody's caught up to speed. It came from attorney James K. Filan, member of the XRP community, and it was a perfectly reasonable expectation based on his legal expertise and his understandings about timelines from previous rulings having to do with Judge Torres, which is who's going to make the final determination in this case, unless of course she sends it to a jury trial. And here you can see a tweet from September 6th of last year in which he wrote in part, quote, "I am sticking to my prediction that District Judge Torres will decide both the expert motions and the summary judgment motions at the same time on or before March 31st, 2023. I have no prediction on when the Hinman email dispute will be fully and finally resolved." And just to be super duper clear, hopefully nobody would have thought this, but I want to be crystal clear here. In no way should anybody be upset with Filan. This is not a dig against him whatsoever. I'm just reminding everybody of where all of this kind of came from, and this is one of the major points here. But it's perfectly reasonable to put out a prediction, and if it doesn't come to pass, it doesn't come to pass. Attorney Filan has done an amazing job of keeping the community informed, so I just felt the need to just put that out there, unless anybody had any questions about my motivation for just kind of recapping what's going on. No. I just wanted to set the table so everybody's aware of what's going on here. But that's not the only reason. And by the way, Attorney Hogan, he even said that he was going with Attorney Filan's prediction. Even Hogan said, I'm just going to go with that. So ultimately, I know at some point he was thinking maybe it would have been mid-March, and then ultimately he kind of fell in line, if memory serves, with Attorney Filan there. And then there was also Stuart Alderati, Ripple's general counsel here. You can see here's an article from March 3rd, just the beginning of this month. Ripple general counsel says judge could release ruling by March end. And I don't need to read the article here either, but there's a tweet from Eleanor Turret, who is a Fox Business journalist, And she quoted Stuart Alderati from an article in Blockworks as saying the following: "A summary judgment is expected any day, maybe as soon as the end of this month," end quote. And so there's a lot of good reason to think, hey, perhaps, I mean, these are people who have experience. If anybody's in the know, I understand why people would think that perhaps Stuart Alderati would have had some particular insight there. Although the truth is, nobody at Ripple, including him, had any sort of special notice in terms of what was likely to come. And I'm going to share with you what Attorney Deaton had to say in just a second here. But first, let me share with you this. There's a poll that I put out on March 22nd, so just over a week ago. And it was a very simple question. It was on Twitter here. I wrote, "Will Judge Torres rule on the SEC v. Ripple case before this month ends?" And of course, I put that out because I already well understood, just as most of you understood, that there was this deadline. We're hoping for, the prediction to come true, March 31st, and it hasn't, obviously. And so 4,996 people voted, and thank you for everybody who voted. 46.4% voted yes, it would occur, and 53.6% voted no, it wouldn't occur. So again, that was on March 22nd. I put that poll out, and I let the poll run for, I believe, 24 hours. I put out the exact same poll at 2:25 a.m. today, and I only let this one run for 14 hours. I wanted it to be finalized before I was making a video about this, so I just went for I think 14 hours anyway, and asked the exact same question: will Judge Torres rule on the SEC v. Ripple case before this month ends? Literally the same question, knowing that there was less than 24 hours remaining at the time I put that out. And I got 4,851 votes on this, and thank you to everybody who participated. Much appreciated. And not surprisingly, it went a little bit more in one direction than the other. Although, admittedly, I'm a little surprised that the yes votes were as high as they were. We got 23.2% yes, and 76.8% said no, there wouldn't be a ruling before the end of the month. So obviously, the more time passed, the closer we got to the end of the month, the more people would say, okay, there's almost no time left. I'm less convinced now. So that part wasn't surprising, but actually 23.2% honestly is a bit higher than I might have guessed. I don't know if I would have thought it would have been maybe as high as 10%, but that's definitely higher than I would have guessed just for fun. So we'll see. I don't, honestly, I'm really hoping that I just take the L, and like right after I publish this video, I'm hoping that there's news that that Ripple beats the SEC or something along those lines, or even if the SEC technically wins, that where there's clarity for XRP. That I would really love that one. Seriously, if that happens, happy to take the L. I really don't think that's going to happen, but happy to take the L if it does. Now, as far as what Attorney Deaton has to say, he responded to an XRP community member who goes by the name XR Beans, who wrote, "Does Judge Torres go on the naughty list next week if she doesn't issue a ruling today?" And I saw a lot of people tweeting about this concept, a lot of people on social media, which is why I'm glad Attorney Deaton addressed it. There was this misunderstanding, because I know if there is such a thing where if a judge goes too long without issuing a ruling, they basically do go on effectively what you could colloquially call a naughty list, which is just, I can't remember what it is, but you're reported, the fact that you haven't made a decision in a sufficiently timely manner, it's reported to some part of the government. I can't remember the specifics, but again, I don't even have a legal background. I'm just pulling from memory here. So I know that to be a thing, but I also knew that this is not something that Judge Torres would have been in danger of hitting. But there are some people that were thinking, because there was this, prediction, and it at this point where people were, miscommunicating and turning prediction into now deadline she must. And no. It's not an actual deadline. It's just there were some predictions made about when the case was, hopefully going to end anyway. And so Attorney Deaton wrote, "There's a huge misunderstanding on crypto Twitter and YouTube. Only motions that have been pending more than 6 months must be reported on a list to Congress. The 6-month list does not apply to Judge Torres's summary judgment ruling because the motion has been pending for a little over 3 months." So, as pause note, I know he said Congress there, but specifically, does that mean the entirety of Congress, or was it a specific, office within the government? And that's the part that I just don't recall. And then Attorney Deaton says, "There is no deadline of today for her to rule. The decision could come out within the next hour, or it could take another 30 to 60 days. Based on previous cases, Judge Torres has issued her ruling on summary judgment within a couple months of her Daubert/experts decision. And so you'll recall, I'm sure, that at the beginning of this month, we did see a decision from Judge Torres on those Daubert motions. So that would be the decisions having to do with expert witnesses, and it was heavily in favor of Ripple. like, truly heavily. In terms of the most important decisions, the most important witnesses that the SEC's witnesses could have spoken about, they were just chucked out by Judge Torres. Like, nope, bye Felicia, and that was it, which was fantastic to see. And she made the right calls there. Not that Ripple got literally everything they want, but could be the case that that was a sign. People took that as a sign. Okay, if this comes down, does that mean that we're imminently going to be seeing something in terms of a final ruling? Well, now we know the answer is no. It's just kind of a question of how big is the gap going to be. So is it going to be another 30 days or 60 days? And that's what we're kind of waiting for. And additionally, Attorney Deaton wrote this at 5:14 p.m. Central Standard Time. He said, I see comments about insiders and whether Ripple and the SEC will learn beforehand. The only people who will know before the judge publicly issues her ruling is her staff and any clerks who helped her with research or helped write the decision. So it was never the case that anybody at Ripple, even Stuart Alderati, would have any sort of insight as to when this is going to end beyond the insight that anybody else had outside the case. Which is why, frankly, when it comes to an ending date, Stuart Alderati's expectation is pretty on the same level as Attorney Filan's expectation, that prediction that it would end by the end of March 2023. Because none of them have any special information. It's just you're just looking at past behaviors to come to conclusions about what you think is probable regarding the end of the case. That's pretty much it. And unfortunately, here we are. So we'll see. The case did not end. I am going to be checking social media and crypto media like crazy for the next few hours and just hoping I do a refresh and find out that I get to take the L, but I don't think so. So I'm just going to declare it now. The Ripple lawsuit did not end by the predicted time of March 31st, 2023. Womp womp. But that's okay. But look, even though, don't be terribly down about this, because we really are so close to the finish line. And it is true that any day we could wake up and see that the case is over. I just, so help me, freaking deity of your choice, if we wake up on April 1st and see that there are headlines, because I tell you, God damn it, if we see those headlines when it's this close to the predicted end date, can you imagine? Because a year ago, there was at least one, I can't remember which entity did, but there was a crypto media platform on April 1st, April Fool's Day. They put out a report, a false report, that there was settlement, and some people didn't realize it was April 1st, and then eventually they caused such an uproar that crypto media outlet, whichever one it was, they ended up taking it down. So that's the thing. Like, what if it really happens and it's on April 1st, on a Saturday? Because things can come out at weird times, man. Like they could. Oh, please don't let that happen. I'm not. Because look, when it's April 1st, I just don't want to take anything seriously. I ain't gonna do it. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.